Okay, how did we meet, Ed?
Well, we met.
Back to John's question.
Okay. Actually, we met, and I had forgotten this, but you came on a tour, and in my diary, I kept a diary in those days, I mentioned John something or other, I didn't remember his last name, came up from Disney, and he was the only one that seemed really interested in what we were doing. But then we reconnected later on the Queen Mary. And at that time, we didn't know why, but John was actually looking for something else. And we wanted to bring in a real animator up to Lucasfilm so that we could continue to develop the technology. Our dream was to make a computer animated film. And John, it turns out, at Disney had experimented with computer animation with a company, Blue Sky, right?
No, Magi sent the vision.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
They went to Blue Sky.
Right.
Had already done some experimenting, so he had this excitement about using this new technology, and that's what we wanted, somebody that had this drive to do it. And to be honest, we were just thinking in terms of an animator, having no idea, of course, what his long-term potential was.
And so Ed hired me into the Lucasfilm computer division, and
we should maybe, I don't know that people take for granted they know what it is, how
Lucas,
groundbreaking the work that was going on there was.
I'm going to brag about Ed for a second.
Okay.
George Lucas hired him in 1979 from New York Institute of Technology to develop three, and then Ed brought the fourth one with him. Really crazy, insane ideas and projects. One, to edit a movie using a computer, digital nonlinear editing. And two, digital sound editing. Number three, the digital compositing of images. And number four was computer animation. From 1979 through 1986, we were about, 40 people at the Lucasfilm
40
Computer?
people.
40 people invented those four concepts and things.
Without these, you don't have the Avid, you don't have digital editing, which is the standard. You don't have digital you don't have Pro Tools. All of this stuff came from, there's a big bang that goes on here. And in researching this, I never realized the significance, and without this butterfly wing flap, we would still be doing things like we were doing them 40 years ago. So this is the significance of it and the vision that George had, and then I think the understanding the talent and what your abilities were, and collecting those people together, that was really the formation of the many things besides just Pixar.
Yeah, George is the only one in the industry willing to pay it. It was really pretty interesting. They're quite conservative, but George, after Star Wars, realized the technology was playing a role in what he was doing, so he funded it when nobody else would.
It was remarkable that it was out of his own money that he... In fact, it was interesting because we've had both George Lucas and Steve Jobs that funded the development of what we did out of their own pocket.
Yeah, two very remarkable people that bought into this vision, and it was our great fortune to line up with them.
So I came up to start working with Ed in the Lucasfilm Computer Division. It was December of 1983. I had been trying very hard at the Walt Disney Animation Studios to interest them in applying computer animation technology to Disney animation. They had, in fact, Bill Croyer worked on Tron, and which was Disney had produced, and it was using one of the first major motion pictures to use significant amounts of computer animation. And it was so mind-blowing to me, and it seemed like the natural thing. I always felt like this is what Walt was waiting for. He was constantly striving to get more dimension in his animation, with the multiplane camera and so on. He experimented with stop-motion animation, but it didn't have the same control over timing as hand-drawn animation. So when I saw computer animation, it was like a bell went off in my head, and I said, this is it. This is what Walt was waiting for. True three-dimensional animation with the control of hand-drawn animation. And I was hooked, and I knew that this was the future. But I was having a hard time convincing Disney at the time to be interested in it. And so that's when I met Ed. And so he invited me to come work with him. And so when I got there, as John mentioned, Ed had gathered the greatest minds in computer animation research of its day from all over the world. And this small group in San Rafael, California, was developing this incredible technology. And I was blown away by this group. And I said, Ed, how did you get all of these amazing people? Because, see, I had just come from Disney that were not quite interested. That's not the way we do it, I kept hearing. And he said, oh, it's easy. I just try to hire people that are smarter than myself. And I laughed and I walked away. But that statement, I kept thinking about it and saying, that's a true leader. Someone, first of all, to be smarter than this guy. He's pretty smart. And but that's, and to get people, but also he let them do what they were great at. And he let them shine and let them become stars in the computer graphics world.